Okay, so I've been thinking about this recently, the balance between discipline, consistency, and self compassion. I'm very driven and I'm really trying to incorporate like discipline and consistency into my life, creating and building new habits. I just want to do everything right. I have a habit tracker on my computer, and every day I want everything to be ticked off, even when I don't feel like it. Some days I don't feel like it. Some days I miss days. And I don't do certain habits. I strive to be a better person for my future self. So I'm all about consistency and being disciplined and doing things, even when you don't feel like it. But what happens when I don't do certain things? For example, if one day I miss working out, I'm just going to beat myself up. I'm going to be so disappointed in myself. You didn't feel like it, but you still could have done it. You know, it's just because that's how you build discipline, by doing the things that you don't want to do and when you don't want to do it. So it leads to disappointment and to beating myself up and putting so much pressure on myself. So I was like, how do discipline and self-compassion go hand in hand? Because it doesn't look like you can be disciplined or like strive to be disciplined while having self-compassion. And something I've realized recently is that self-compassion and not being too hard on yourself is super, super important. It's a thin line between striving to be the best version of yourself, but having compassion for yourself when you slip up, when you miss days, when you make mistakes. And I've realized that we expect too much of ourselves, especially when we start new habits, when we start creating new habits, incorporating new habits into our lives. We expect too much of ourselves. You might also have a habit tracker or like a list where you just keep track of your habits and you tick off the boxes every day. Me personally, on my habit tracker, there's a score. It goes from 0% to 100%. So every day when I tick off boxes, I get a percentage of what I have achieved that day. And most days, like recently, it hasn't been really great. I'm like around 40 to 60%, and it really gets into my head. I need to get at least a 90% score every freaking day, because if I don't, I'll just like feel so bad about myself. I'll feel like I'm not making any progress. I'm not getting closer to my goals and to where I want to be. When starting new habits, you can't expect yourself to be perfect. You can't expect yourself to tick off all the boxes. There is a graphic that I've been seeing on Instagram, and that says that failure is when you don't do anything. When you don't do anything, that's when you fail. But when you miss days, when you're not at your 100% every day, this is not failure. Like, as long as you try and as long as you get back up, then it cannot be failure, because you're doing your best. And something that I've truly realized recently is that we are inherently mentally weak. We are mentally weak. And this realization has been relieving for me, because it's like when you go to the gym, you go there to become physically stronger, right? Because initially, if you don't work your muscles are not going to grow, right? Like, your muscles are going to get weak if you don't train them. And it's the same for your mind. We are all mentally weak unless we train our minds. Our minds crave comfort. They're always going to go towards comfort and entertainment. And the only way to become mentally stronger is by training our minds. And you do that with discipline, doing things even when you don't feel like it. This video is not about discipline, but it's just to show that we are mentally weak. So you are bound to slip up, to make mistakes, to miss days, because your brain, your mind craves comfort. So when you get into the process of becoming mentally stronger, you are gonna fail. It's gonna be hard. It's like you're pushing a wall. You're going against your nature, because naturally the brain, the mind craves comfort. They crave chill and like being like just like good vibes, right? So when you train your mind to do uncomfortable things, you're basically just going against your nature. And that's where self-compassion enters the chat. Like, I don't know who says that, but that's when self-compassion is important. Realizing that you are simply going against your nature. It really helped to tell myself that my mind is inherently weak and I am bound to slip up, make mistakes and miss days, but what matters is to try. And that's something I've heard somewhere. It is that making mistakes, slipping up and missing days, this is not a big deal. It becomes a big deal when you start dwelling on that. Let's say when you slip up, when you make mistakes, you fall down, and the big deal is not getting back up. As long as you get back up every single time, it's not going to be a failure. And when you feel disappointed in yourself, in your behavior, and you start beating yourself up for making a mistake, for slipping up, or for missing a day of like workout or whatever, you are wasting time. You are purposely staying down because you're beating yourself up. You're already down, but you're beating yourself even more. Have compassion for yourself. You're not perfect. You're not going to be perfect. I just maybe I can even say that your mind is against you and will be against you because it craves comfort. It craves doing the bare minimum. Your mind doesn't care about your greater good. All of this was to say that when you make a mistake, when you slip up, when you miss a day or multiple days, what matters is not falling down. What matters is getting back up as soon as possible. And you do that by not beating yourself up. Because if you tell yourself, oh, I'm so disappointed in myself, I'm so weak, I should have done better, I expect more of myself, like the more you beat yourself up, the longer it'll take you to get back on your feet. So you just have to forgive yourself for slipping up, for going back to your old habits, for missing days. The sooner you forgive yourself, the sooner you can get back on track. And that's why I wanted to bring self-compassion. I'm still all about consistency and discipline. So I will always strive to be disciplined and consistent because I know that to get the life that I want, I need to be consistent and disciplined. Strive to be consistent and disciplined. But if you miss certain days, if you happen to slip up or to fall off, you need to forgive yourself immediately because realize that you're just human and that you're bound to slip up and mess up. Self-compassion is that it's not beating yourself up when you're already on the ground. Self-compassion isn't like, oh, I don't feel like it, so I'm not gonna do it. To me, at least, like in my vision, you still need to be disciplined. But if there are days where you really, really don't feel like it, if you have a valid reason or if you don't even have a valid reason, you need to forgive yourself and tell yourself that tomorrow I'll do my best again. Today hasn't been crazy productive. Yesterday hasn't been crazy productive either, but tomorrow I will do my best. It's kind of like about being an observer. You messed up, you observe it, but then you move on. You forgive yourself and you move on because beating yourself up, feeling disappointed in yourself is not going to help you move towards your dreams. What you can do for yourself is not beating yourself up when you're already on the ground, forgiving yourself and plan for a better tomorrow. Literally tell yourself that tomorrow you will do your best. It's still hard for me to find a balance between discipline and self-compassion, but at the end of the day, you just have to realize that you're just human and that you're just trying your best. And that's something I want to talk about as well. You are always perfect. You're perfect every single day. And I don't know how to put that into words, but if today you're at 100% of your capacity, then great. But if tomorrow you are at 10% of your capacity, then you are perfect as well. The point is realizing that you're always doing your best and that you're always doing with what you have. For example, today I woke up and I didn't feel like it. I didn't feel like doing anything, filming, taking my dogs on a walk. I really didn't feel like doing anything. But let's say tomorrow I'll wake up and I'll feel so motivated, so inspired to do so many things and go out. Tomorrow it'll be easier for me to be at 100%, while today it is like very, very hard for me to be at 100%. So if I can get to 20%, which is like the maximum that I can give today, then I'm like perfect. It also goes back to not beating yourself up, realizing that your mood And your mindset, like especially your mindset, is going to change and vary from day to day. Maybe yesterday you were able to do like everything on your to-do list. You were super, super, super productive. But today you woke up and you weren't feeling that inspired or motivated. And it's okay. Just like do your best. If you can show up and give 5% of yourself, if those 5% are everything you have today, then you are already perfect, and because you're already doing your best. Yesterday you were able to do much more because you probably were more inspired and productive, but today you don't feel as inspired. So you're just like doing your best, and that's something I've realized. Every day I'm just waking up and I'm showing up with what I have, doing my best. And some days I really don't feel like doing something, and when I don't feel like it, I force myself like to still do it. But if like I really can do it, I'm like, you know what, there's tomorrow. And I don't like this mentality of like telling myself there's tomorrow, because you always say there's tomorrow, right? To me, it's still hard to find this balance between discipline and self-compassion, but I feel like I'm getting there. It's not perfect. To summarize, I would say like you should always do your best and always try to do what you know needs to be done. But if you can't and if you don't, then just like forgive yourself and move on. Like just get back up, forgive yourself and move on and focus on tomorrow. And also I wanted to talk about discipline, because I also have a hard time with discipline. Discipline really helps me. Sometimes when I don't feel like doing something, I just tell myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it, or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go. And then I do it. And this is like enough to put me in like the mood to want to do what I need to do. But some days I say to myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, but I don't want to do it. Like, let's not go. I really don't feel like it. And something that has helped me recently, like I'm still trying to find a balance with this and discipline, but basically it's a law. It's like, it's not the law of assumption, but basically this law says that you should never do something when you don't feel like it. And at first I was like, what? But like, how do you build mental strength, whatever? And I'm not sure I fully agree with that, and I might make a video on that if I remember the name of the law. Maybe it's the law of assumption. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the law, but basically you should never do something when you don't feel like it. But that doesn't mean that you should never do anything. What it means is that you should put yourself in the mood to do it. For example, if I wake up and I need to film a video and I don't want to do it, like right now, I didn't want to film this video really. So what you need to do is put yourself in a mood where you want to film the video. And that helps me because discipline, like I can't film videos when I don't feel like it. Like this discipline is not going to help me on that. Really, I can't pick up the camera and press record when I don't feel like it. So telling myself 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, let's go isn't working at all. And this strategy of not doing anything until I feel like it is really helping me. So basically to film a video when I don't feel like it, I just watch creators that I look up to, or I journal, or I just like remind myself of my vision and why I started this channel and why I want to keep going. So here I am now. I feel like filming that video, right? So otherwise I wouldn't be there. Basically, when your emotions are aligned with what you're doing, when you look forward to doing what you need to do, or when you're happy and excited about what you're doing, energy flows through you, right? And that's why I can't film a video when I don't feel like it, because I don't feel like energy is flowing through me right now. And this really helps. So just like take some time, like 15, 30 minutes to put yourself in a mood where you feel like doing what needs to be done. And that is really helping me when discipline is failing me. Discipline is really helping me. So basically doing things even when you don't feel like doing them, it's really helping me sometimes, but sometimes it's really not helping me either. So this law really helps me. Putting myself in the mood where I want to do what I need to do really, really helps. It's the opposite of discipline, but in the end, it helps you get the thing done. So it doesn't really make a difference. So I think I wanted to end the video saying that if discipline fails you, try to find ways to put yourself in a mood where you want to do what you need to do. So yeah, so this video was a bit messy, but I really wanted to talk about that. This not being too hard on yourself and having self-compassion for yourself. I'm still struggling with finding a balance between self-compassion and discipline and waiting until I feel like doing something or 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, just do it. I'm still struggling with that, but I still think that having self-compassion is super, super, super important, because if you always beat yourself up, if you always feel disappointed in yourself, it's not going to help your growth, because you're staying down, you're not picking yourself back up. And yeah, so I guess that's everything I wanted to say. And again, that was a bit messy, but that's something that was on my mind and that I'm still trying to figure out. I hope you found value in this video. If you did, you can leave a comment. You can also subscribe for more videos like this. I'm rooting for you as usual, and I hope to see you in the next video.